many splits and has forked into many different schools of thought. During the 6th century, a secession in the Madhyamaka school led to the formation of two new schools, one being the Sautrantika school. The Sautrantika Buddhists are similar to their Madhyamaka predecessors in that they believe in a middle way that supports neither true existence nor non-existence. The Sautrantika school is extinct but not forgotten. The disappearance of literature is the principal reason that the Sautrantika school no longer exists. The disappearance of the Sautrantika text is due to the invasion of India by barbarians who burned the Nalanda University along with all of its texts, including those of the Sautrantikas. Any other remaining texts found their way into the hands of Brahmin nemesis who likely burned the remaining texts in an attempt to destroy Buddhism altogether. Sautrantika philosophy can be called an intellectual revolt against prevailing false opinions, dogmas, authority, and scriptural monopoly. The Sautrantika Buddhists preserved the original teachings of the Buddha by applying a new method of philosophy to debate and by not submitting themselves to the teachings of a class of Buddhist texts called the Abhidharma, or higher doctrine, which try to resolve questions not addressed by the Buddha himself. The Sautrantikas reject the Abhidharma because what is written is illegitimate for not being based on the direct teachings of the Buddha is found in the sutras. In fact, the word Sautrantika itself is translated into English as those who follow only the sutras. One major focal point of Sautrantika philosophy is embedded in epistemology, or the philosophy of knowledge. They use a method of logical investigation that can be called Sautrantika analytical philosophy. This is a pragmatic approach to uncover the pure truth, even if an obscure truth is a worldwide basic belief. Sautrantika analytical philosophy is described as pragmatic because they believe that one must have true knowledge to distinguish that which is believed to be desirable, upadhyaya, and that which is believed to be undesirable, aya. The struggle to achieve upadhyaya and to avoid aya is a regular objective for most sects of Buddhism. The logic behind this is that people could just think that something or deed could be considered as upadhyaya and may not really be so in truth. This may lead people to believing that they are on the right path to awakening when in truth they are not. The Sautrantikas assert that phenomena exist conventionally, and that if something does not exist by way of its own character, it would not exist at all. Therefore, external objects are truly existent and are ultimate truths. Moreover, the Sautrantikas assert that there is indeed ultimate truth if it is verifiable by direct experience. This is indicative of the fact that the Sautrantikas are empiricists. They practice empiricism in an effort to mimic the doctrine of the Siddhartha Gautama. The Buddha himself told the people not to rely on his word but on direct experience in the Kalama Sutra, where he says, "Do not trust my philosophy because of reverence, but by examining it, cutting, boiling, and rubbing it like a goldsmith." Aside from the focus on epistemology, another question that Sautrantika philosophy addresses is that of ultimate truth. According to the Sautrantikas, existence is only momentary, and the past and future do not exist. Because existence is only momentary, each new dharma begins and ends simultaneously. This concept of momentary existence caused opponents of the Sautrantikas to assert that momentary existence would not allow any karmic consequences and, more importantly, awakening. However, the Sautrantikas responded to this allegation by insisting that each momentary dharma perfumes a series of dharmas which plants a karmic seed in each subsequent dharma, which will eventually sprout into a karmic consequence, thus permitting the possibility of awakening. Revealed in the Sautrantika school. The middle way is an essential theme that runs through the Buddhist school of thought. Sautrantika Buddhists recall that Buddha himself explained the middle way as being free from extremes, hence the name. They distinguish the two extremes as self-indulgence and self-mortification. Self-indulgence includes the over-appeasing of the sensory pleasure centers. According to Buddhist history, Buddha lived first as a self-indulgent in his kingdom as a prince. Later in his life, before he found the middle way, the Buddha left his castle and started up a lifestyle of self-mortification through Jainism and led an ascetic life. After acknowledging the faults behind both of these ways of life firsthand, the Buddha decided that to live in moderation, centered between the two extremes, was a key way to find enlightenment. Another key concept for Sautrantika Buddhist thought was centered on permanence. Sautrantikas believed in a conventional existence and that the middle way was free from the extreme of permanence and extreme annihilation. By refuting both extremes simultaneously, they adopt dependent arising, and whatever is empty of true existence is dependent arising, and whatever is dependent arising is empty of true existence. Dependent arising was praised by Nagarjuna as the most profound teaching of all of what the Buddha passed on behind him. Dependent arising lacks truly existent cessation, production, annihilation, permanence, coming, going, sameness, and difference. Furthermore, Sautrantikas assert that all impermanent phenomena are dependent arisings in the sense that they arise in dependence on causes and conditions. The middle way teachings of Sautrantika Buddhism rely on three main concepts that shape the thought processes around how to attain enlightenment and what is considered part of the middle way lifestyle. Freedom from extremes, permanence, and dependent arising make up the three centers for which the middle way can be translated. The teachings of Sautrantika Buddhism can be very difficult to understand, and therefore, in some cases, the lessons have been coded into metaphors for further elaboration. There are 5 main sutras which are used to decipher the 5 most consequential trainings of the Buddha. The lessons explain form, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness. According to the Sautrantikas, true existence, ultimate existence, real existence, all can be negated and therefore do not exist conventionally. Existence by the way of an object's own character is what it takes to be conventionally existent. The Sautrantikas reason that permanent objects and phenomena are those which have a nature of non-disintegration. It is asserted that the destruction of an object is permanent even though the object becomes something new when it is destroyed. Sautrantikas and other Buddhists divide phenomena into a variety of 2 categories, conditioned and unconditioned, positive and negative, contaminated and uncontaminated, permanent and impermanent. The 2 divisions, or 2 truths, are mutually exclusive. All objects of knowledge are the basis of division of the 2 truths, and everything is either a conventional or an ultimate truth. The first truth, the ultimate truth, is defined as an object that is found valid by all reasoning consciousness. Conventional truths are truths only for ignorance. The reason that there is no third truth is because if an object is not one truth, it is naturally the other. For example, if an object is not an ultimate truth, it must be a falsity and therefore a conventional truth. This realization of emptiness is one of the main goals that is necessary to be accomplished on the path to enlightenment. According to Sautrantika thinkers, in order to realize emptiness, one must be free of the 3 types of dualistic appearance. The first dualistic appearance that can be perceived by a person is the appearance of something different than the perceiver. In this case, the perceiver believes that he or she is separate from the other things in the physical world. The appearance of true existence is also a dualistic appearance. This occurs when a person trusts that he or she is a permanent, existent entity. The appearance of conventionalities is the third dualistic truth. When dualistic appearances are ignored and destroyed by the conscious, ultimate truth is experienced. To elaborate in the words of a Buddhist thinker, according to Bhava Viveka in his Essence of the Middle Way, it establishes the negation of all nets of conception. It is peaceful, individual in knowledge, non-conceptual and without letters. It is free from sameness and difference, and enters without dualistic entry. Into reality, stainless like space, it is the wisdom that knows the ultimate. This excerpt is meant to explain that in order to attain enlightenment, one must sever themselves from all dualistic truths and grasp solely the ultimate truth of the universe. One of the few truths that Sautrantika hold as ultimate is the idea and importance of selflessness. Sautrantika Buddhism does not embrace elaborate rules and ideals, but rather keeps their beliefs as strong and simple. The metaphors of the sutras are meant to convey that unenlightened people on earth take their lives as permanent. In fact, they need to make a true separation from themselves and instead grasp the idea that they do not exist and instead are just the same as everything else, which is nothing. This is a confusing idea, and because human nature is so keen to reject it, it is extremely difficult for the average person to attain nirvana without a great deal of practice and complete open-mindedness. One of the positive externalities of the Sautrantikas' existence was that they became pioneers of thought. They paved the way for independent thinking by their rejection of the Abhidharma, which represents mainstream authority and higher doctrine. The Sautrantika rejection of authority and focus on eminent truth opened the way for more philosophers to formulate their own thoughts on Buddhist philosophy, which resulted in an increased number of Buddhist sects that would be dissenting from mainstream authoritative belief. It is a profound philosophy of the Sautrantikas that human selflessness is an ultimate truth. There are many severances that need to be made on the road to enlightenment, but only a few extremely important consciousnesses. Human selflessness is described in the terms of the Four Noble Truths, and although some claim that the 16 aspects of the Four Noble Truths are conventionalities, it is asserted that the 16 aspects are in fact 16 emptinesses, and therefore ultimate truths themselves. Also, the selflessness is an ultimate truth because it was one of the Buddha's teachings, which are held in the utmost esteem. Conventional truths are truths for concealers. Therefore, a person who is not truly selfless but appears to be so is deceptive, and his or her selflessness isn't conventional truth. In order to grasp the important themes of the Sautrantika division of Buddhism, it is first important to know where the main ideals are stemmed from. The underlying principles of Sautrantika thought are not extremely complex, but rather they are rooted in tremendously important but simple ideas. The metaphorical sutras, ultimate existence and truth, the profound two truths, and selflessness are all celebrated as sacred and essential to the middle way path to attaining nirvana. Although